What if I told you that the American school system we know today was shaped not only by educators, but also by one of the richest men who ever lived? A man who built an empire out of oil, and then turned his attention to shaping minds. His name, John D. Rockefeller. Rockefeller was born in 1839 in upstate New York. He wasn't born into wealth. His father was a traveling salesman, sometimes described as a con man. But young John was ambitious, disciplined, and obsessed with efficiency. At just 16, he got his first job as an assistant bookkeeper. He was fascinated by numbers, profit, and above all, order. By the 1860s, Rockefeller had entered the oil business, and he quickly realized the potential of refining oil for kerosene, which lit lamps across America. In 1870, he founded the Standard Oil Company. Through aggressive strategies, ruthless cost-cutting, and sometimes controversial tactics, Standard Oil came to dominate nearly 90% of the oil industry in the United States. By the early 20th century, Rockefeller was the richest man in the world. His fortune today would be worth hundreds of billions of dollars. But here's where the story takes a turn. After becoming the world's first billionaire, Rockefeller began pouring money into philanthropy, and one of his biggest targets? Education. Through the General Education Board, founded in 1902 with his money, Rockefeller helped shape the American school system. On the surface, this was a noble act, funding schools, universities, and teacher training. He donated hundreds of millions of dollars, equivalent to billions today. Compulsory education, or mandatory schooling, wasn't always the norm. For centuries, most children worked on farms or in workshops, learning trades from their families. The idea that every child should spend years in school is relatively new. In Europe, countries like Prussia were early adopters. By the early 19th century, Prussia had introduced laws requiring children to attend school, partly to create loyal citizens and disciplined soldiers. This Prussian model became influential worldwide. By the late 1800s, American states began introducing their own compulsory schooling laws. Massachusetts led the way in 1852, and by 1918, all U.S. states had laws requiring children to attend school. But what kind of education were they receiving? That's where Rockefeller's influence enters. Through the General Education Board, Rockefeller's fortune didn't just build schools, it shaped their philosophy. The board promoted a system focused on standardization, efficiency, and discipline. Much like factories that ran on schedules, schools were designed with bells, rows of desks, and strict timetables. Supporters praised this as modern, efficient, and democratic, giving every child access to basic literacy and numeracy. But critics argued it was designed to create a workforce of obedient laborers rather than independent thinkers. Rockefeller himself once said he wanted a nation of workers, not thinkers. Whether or not he meant this literally, the system he funded leaned toward producing disciplined employees who could fuel America's booming industrial economy. So, was Rockefeller a visionary philanthropist who lifted millions out of ignorance? Or was he a businessman extending his control, not only over oil, but over the very minds of future generations? Today, elements of that system are still visible: the fixed schedules, standardized tests, and the focus on memorization. Some see this as outdated, arguing schools should encourage creativity and critical thinking instead. Others say the Rockefeller model provided the foundation for mass education and helped millions escape illiteracy. The debate continues. Did Rockefeller democratize knowledge or industrialize the classroom? So next time you walk into a classroom, ask yourself, whose vision of education are we really living in?